Hey everyone, Brian with wrenchesandrides.com, and if you're looking for a used Can-Am Maverick X3, watch this video as we're going to walk you through some of the things to look at with these specific machines. Now, this machine was purchased by a friend of ours. We had to drive a significant distance to get it, but in doing so, we got one heck of a deal. So what we wanted to do first, before we committed, was ask some questions from the owner. And things you want to ask are, were the fluids changed? How'd you ride it? Where'd you ride it? Get some general background information from the person and feel them out, see how that goes. From there, once you step in front of the machine, you have to be observant. Look at everything. These Can-Ams have a lot of horsepower to them. Know that in 2017, they were around 150 horse. 2018 and 2019 went upwards of 172, I believe. So a lot of people purchased these machines, realized, wow, they're a little bit more than what I expected. And some of them even rolled the machines a couple times, then tried to sell them. So what we're going to do is walk you through looking at what kind of machine you're buying. Because buying used, you don't know if somebody rolled it, fixed it, trying to get rid of it, or if they blew it up. Lots of little issues with these. So first thing that you want to do is walk around it. Look at how it's been drove. In this machine here specifically, we can see the front has got a lot of scratches on it, probably from being drove in some higher brush. Different places. We can always look at the tires. This machine has 1,066 miles on it. The tires here, you can see the knobs are wore over a little bit, but they're semi-worn flat, especially when you get to the back. There is a significant amount of wear in the center of the tire compared to the outside. And when you look at that stuff, kind of notice, why are we seeing what we're seeing? Look at the tags that you might find on it. This is a 2018 Illinois ORV tag. And as you walk around the back of the machine, you'll see that there is a slow moving sign with another 2017 license for on the road and a Utah license also for on the road use. Now this machine has some other things that stand out, like turn signals. Why? So the gentleman that we talked to about this didn't really mention a lot about road use, but this is registered for on-road use. And from the tire wear, you can see that a ton of his miles were used on the road. What does that tell us? That tells us that a lot of the underneath should be very clean. So what we want to start doing is taking the two tools that we needed to bring with us, which is either a laser distance measure or a tape measure, and start looking at different places that we can measure side to side that should equal up. And what we'll do is look at the control arms down here. Most of these should be bent the same, right and left. So you want to make sure that they are straight and in the same position, and they're not bent. There's going to be slight bends in them, but the backs of the control arms is where you want to look at for any dents or anything like that. We try to pick out spots and measure to the frame, 1 foot 2 inches in 5/32, and hit the other side. One foot 2 inches, and we end up with the same measurement. Now we're going to do that front and back, go around the whole machine, measure everything out, make sure that this frame is squared, and while we're looking at stuff around it, we're going to make sure this machine hasn't been rolled. Now the trailing arms and everything in back, you need to look at them to make sure they're both bent in the same manner, not twisted at all. And all the radius rods that are here, you want to make sure that they are absolutely straight. All this stuff costs an immense amount of money to replace. From there, once you realize, okay, the frame of this machine, everything here looks good, start looking at the inside of it. Are there any rips in the seats? How's the wiring? Now specifically on this machine, you can see that there's some wiring that was done professionally, and there's some wiring that was done at home by someone who really didn't know what they were doing. Take that into consideration when you look at your offer. Look at what that wiring does. How does it impact anything else? In this case, it's just some whips in the back that the gentleman added, but they're basically not adding any value. A, because we don't need them, and B, because we have to fix the wiring. So it's just not something that if you don't need something and it's on the machine, don't pay extra for it. And if somebody tells you that you have a $1,000 windshield, try to look up the costs of these windshields and stuff like that at Powersports Place or different places where you can find a lot of accessories for your machines. Know what the accessories cost. The good instance of that is this unit has a factory MTX stereo system. It's $699, but the gentleman who bought it didn't really care, so should we pay any extra for that? Probably not. Now, in this case, there is a backup camera with a full screen inside, which is nice, but again, know your costs on some of those things. This is an Amazon model, probably $100 worth of stuff in there, maybe. The other item that we would always suggest is looking at the seat belts. This has 4-point seat belts on the inside, and that's something that we would highly recommend. They're not overly expensive, but it's something that's nice to see added that also might tell you a touch about the riding style that the person had. Lower doors here, they're factory, $300 and some odd, but they're nice to have. They don't really add much to the used cost of the vehicle, but if you're looking for something like this, look for something that's got most of the accessories that you want and start wheeling and dealing on that machine rather than buying something that's similarly priced and adding a ton of money to it. After we get through looking at accessories and how things are, let's start checking fluids. It's very important if you're looking at these machines to check the oil. Make sure it's not milky, meaning there could be some water in there, and make sure that it's fairly clean. These machines do have a catalytic converter on them, so they do run a little warmer than some of the other engines, and most models like this one is an XDS, has a turbo. So it's important to keep that oil changed. If you're looking at a XMR, there's a million different of the acronyms for this machine. If you're looking at a mud machine, I would highly suggest checking fluids front to back. Check all your differentials or take it somewhere to have it professionally checked, just to make sure you don't have water in them. You don't want to replace the differential. You can get them used, but if you're questioning what you're looking at already, you don't want to get into that. If you have to do anything with the engine or anything in back, you are pulling the whole back of the machine out, pulling the engine and rear axle out all at once, and it can get costly if you have someone else do it. Other than that, the steering systems on these can be iffy for very select models, especially the early years and the Max, the 4-seaters. So check out the power steering. When you go for a ride, warm it up nice. Check that the 4-wheel drive works. Get on it a little bit. Listen for any odd noises. These machines are fairly quiet, but you will hear a lot of clutch noise. Totally normal. The intake for the clutch that runs the air through it is directly behind the seat of the driver, so you tend to see a lot of that. Other than that, your shock mounts in different items like that are something that you want to pay close attention to, as Can-Am has added strengtheners to them over time, especially in the rear. The 2017s did not have a really great way to brace those trailing arms together. 2018, they added a small piece of metal. Most people go in and buy a CT Racing or S3 pull hitch to put back there, and that strengthens things up immensely. We're going to go through some of the add-ons that we're going to do to this machine to not only make it look better, make it a little bit stronger. So hopefully this helps you out as you're walking through these machines, looking at what you might want to find, what you might want to look for. But in general, look for that nice, well-kept, clean machine that's had all the fluids changed often, and you'll probably come out pretty good. Make sure you get a great deal, because there are some good deals that come around on these machines at the end of the model year. So we appreciate your time for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, give us a like, ask any comments below. We will do our best to answer your questions, especially if you're looking at a machine. There's a lot of groups out there on Facebook, and there's also a lot of forums that you can go in, ask different questions. It's a great place to learn from other people and make sure you know the most you can about the unit you're buying before you get it. Surprises are expensive and not worth dealing with. Thanks for your time, guys. Have a great day.